you made me think about when I was on your platform, and we briefly talked about Dr. Claude Anderson's book Powernomics.
Right.
Um,
Still
and
got it
that,
right here.
right.
I
And
just finished it. I just finished it yesterday.
so
Powernomics.
so that's the book now that we're reading now on my channel and we're reviewing. But
Right.
within this book and within his lectures, he talks about meritorious manumission. And you made me think about that when you were speaking about the number of people who will make the destructive music that
Right.
will affect the masses. Welcome back to On the Shoulders of Giants. I am Joseph Ward, and I got a special show for you today. We got a special guest in the building. This brother reached out to me weeks ago. He saw my YouTube channel, reached out to me via email, and we were able to connect. He graciously allowed me to be on his platform. Had a great interview, a great time on this platform. So make sure you check that out. All that information will be in the description. But the brother is Luke Byron Smith. And Mr. Smith is a life coach, a motivational speaker, a thought leader, a philosopher, and he's also the founder of Enlightened Empower Evolve LLC, which is also a YouTube channel and a podcast. And his intentions in regard to the podcast are to enlighten, inspire, and empower people through the multiple perspectives of those around the world who are elevating themselves as well as humanity in various ways. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to explore Luke's life, explore his platforms, explore his various skills and his talents, and you know how we do how just assessing what he does and how it helps us. It's a black man out here doing his thing, repping the Bay Area, and we're just gonna dive deep into him because he's a good brother, and you know we're always trying to connect over here and build and make sure that we're building with different with our people across the country, across the diaspora. So, Luke, welcome to On the Shoulders of Giants, my brother.
Right on, Joseph. I appreciate it, King. Um, Appreciate it. Like you said, reached out to you um, a few weeks ago and
Mm-hmm.
just felt the energy, man. You responded back to me timely. You said you were going to check out my stuff. You know, you didn't just jump right into it. You know, you did a little investigation, a little
Mm-hmm.
investigating, little, uh, checking it out. And you must have felt it because you reached out to me. And I'm glad you did, man, because I love your energy, man. And I love, your intelligence, your intellect, just your spirit, man. Just, I can just feel it, man. You know how your intuition, I mean, you can misjudge people, but
Right.
your intuition always tells you, you
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like that inner compass. It doesn't lie. So, just the vibe, man. It was just all love, man. And I just really appreciate it, King.
Oh no, no problem. And the pleasure's all mine. Same to you. I feel the same energy. I feel like I say, you're a great gentleman. The definitely the energy is there because people can reach out to you all the time about being on that platform, about collaborating. And you know, some of you will say yes, and some of you will say no. But the ones you say yes to, for the most part, like you say, if you follow that intuition, you're connecting with good people that you can build with. And here we are. Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. So before we dive into all of your skills and your accomplishments and things, let's give the people some background information about yourself. Who is Luke Byron Smith, and like, how did you get to this point in your life?
Okay. That's a good question. That's a deep question too, and I'll try to summarize it the best I can. But Luke Bryan Smith, I go back to I was born in I grew up uh, the first part of my life in Ohio in the Midwest in a town called Lima, Ohio, and
Okay.
grew up. It's a story it's a narrative that a lot of black men have. Which is I grew up, poor in the ghetto in a place called the Village. It was government housing and things like that. I'm not trying to gain any sympathy, but it's just
Right.
how it was, and
Right.
so and I'm thankful for it really because it gave me an insight. You know what I'm saying? It's like no matter where I started, all you have to go from there is up. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't really too much lower than that, other than just, I can say, homelessness. So that was maybe a step above that, you know, living with the roaches and the rats and all that. But
Right.
you know, I can laugh about it now. But then moved out here to the West Coast, to the Bay Area, and fast forward, single parent home. Grew up with my moms and my brother. Um, Shout out to moms, working real hard and just raising us the best she could, and just doing a
Right.
great job and instilling in us values, and you know, and just she did a great job. You know, a lot of the mess ups that I got into, I did it on my own. It wasn't because of her coaching or lack of. Although
Right.
I will say this, and I don't want to get, I'm a thinker, so you'll hear me jump around.
Go ahead.
Even though she did the best she could, I always say that a man really needs a male figure, a good father, a good
Right.
man all around to teach him how to be a man. So I had to
Right.
learn, you know, on my own through, you know, through the streets or through other people that probably weren't such a good example, and some that were. So it all mixed together. I got all that mixed in me. But to fast forward, you know, a lot of things that had been going on in my life. Grew up in a very religious family too, but a lot of things that were going on in my life, till I got to where I am today, with the way I think now, and you'll see where I'm going with this. I placed a lot of blame, you know, on things I was around, situations, what my mom did or what other people did. And I got to a point where I started self-reflecting. I got privy to information, you know, that caused me to look within and start taking responsibility,
Right.
for my own actions, for my own experiences. Not saying that people can't do things to you. I get that, but at the same time, why am I continuing to find the same person in relationships and go through the same things? Why am I finding myself in these same issues where this person is doing this to me, and
Right.
it's the same thing? So what's the common denominator in this? Me. So with that being said, I used to create create rap music that was, and I'm not putting down anybody out there, because I feel like everybody has a story to tell, or wherever you are in your journey, that's right for you. So I'm just expressing this coming from my perspective. But I used to, you know, create more of the mainstream, more of the what I now see, because I'm 52 years old now. A lot of people don't know that, but
You don't look it at all.
figure that. But yeah, I'm 52 years old now, so I'm speaking from, you know, OG elder
Right.
type, you know, age standpoint, perspective. I feel a lot of the music out there, especially the rap music out there, is not really healthy
Right.
for our mindsets in our environment. But like I said, I'm speaking from the wisdom of today. When I
Right.
was younger, I didn't know any better, and I thought, you know, I didn't know the ins and outs of everything it was doing and how it was shaping me, and what I didn't have that vantage point to see how these young people are mimicking, you know, a lot of these lyrics, especially within the Black community, and causing more destruction
Right.
and no unity. Although there is some music out there that still cultivates that. But I remember at one particular time, and I don't want to get off topic, but one particular time, the most popular music was reflecting that, when we had Public Enemy and you know, KRS-One, and you know, a lot of young people probably don't know who these are, but just
Late 80s, early 90s.
yes, that it was that unity type music, Queen
Yep.
Latifah and all that, and a lot more. But then it I guess the powers that be, the industry, saw that you know, and it still happens today, that controversy and violence and things like that sell quickly, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been tapped into that as far as hip hop music. But what I do know is that it's still our music, so we really have control over that.
Right.
And really, is it worth it for a few of us to get the bag for at the expense of all these other people? You know what I'm saying? Because of what we're saying. And so, to get back to the point, I take more responsibility in the material I put out there now. Like, I still create music. You can still find my
Mm-hmm.
music. If you look me up, Luke Bryon Smith, on like Spotify and all the streaming services, you can look up my music. And I've titled it Self-Empowerment Music. So, you know, I still have some party themes in some of the music, but for the most part, I'm really conscious about the lyrics that I put out
Right.
there now, and I design them. I create them to be more empowering, you know, and uplifting, and educate you on how to feel better, think better, and, you know, just goals. You know, because at this point in my life, I'm focused on, you know, people can call me square or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'll wear that with a badge of honor, because what I
Right.
like doing now is reading. I love traveling. I love spending time with my family. You know, I like looking for, you know, business ventures, some investments, or how to create, you know, different ventures and business and things like that. That's where my focuses are, you know, are on right now these days. Not really trying to impress people with, you know, how tough I am, or, oh, I came from here, or nothing like that. I get it,
Right.
but that's not where I am now. I've been through that stage, but that's not where I am now. I want to just enjoy my life and radiate, you know, good energy, positive energy, and you know, love and appreciation, and and congratulations to people that are doing good, and just really be happy for people. You know, that's
Right.
just who I am now. So, to add a little bit more, that's why I created this platform, my podcast, entitled Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved, and the LLC that goes with it, to just highlight people like yourself that have positive mindsets, that's trying to elevate. I don't even want to say trying, that are elevating themselves
Mm-hmm.
in some way. And, you know, that's that's a vast term. Elevating don't mean just one way: spiritually, physically, mentally, intellectually. I talk
Right.
to all kinds of people on the platform, you know, whether they be in the medical field, or, you know, food, talking about healthy foods, herbs, your mindset, psychology, spiritual, you know, different, you know, types of religion
Mm-hmm.
that people might be involved in. Whatever is to them is elevating and encouraging and inspiring. Um, that's what I like to highlight.
That's good. So
Yeah.
now but within that, certain things that stood out to me. So you made me think about when I was on your platform, and we briefly talked about Dr. Claude Anderson's book Powernomics.
Right.
Um,
Still
and
got it
that
right here.
right.
I
And
just
that
finished it. I just finished it yesterday.
so
Powernomics.
that's the book now that we're reading now on my channel and we're reviewing. But
Right.
within this book and within his lectures, he talks about meritorious manumission. And you made me think about that when you were speaking about the number of people who will make the destructive music that
Right.
will affect the masses. And so Dr. Anderson says that within the 1700s, when meritorious manumission was first implemented, this was an adding to of the mindset of people going for self and
Right.
are willing to sell out the whole for their own personal gain. So, you know, that's something that has been implanted in us for a while. But you also talked about accountability, and having that accountability to realize your patterns need to change. Because I had to go through the same thing. Like you said, attracting the same people that you don't want to attract, find yourself in the same situations multiple times. you have to reflect and look at yourself like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I constantly in these same situations? Why am I constantly with these same people? Well, I need to change something about myself. And so,
Right.
but that's the most beautiful part about your whole platform. It's about self-reflection. It's about taking accountability. It's about being responsible, but it's also about taking the proper actions. That's the only way you can evolve, is to take the proper actions that you need to get to the next step. So that it all makes sense and it all works together. And that's why I love it.
Right, right, right. And yeah, it takes fortitude, it takes strength, it takes courage to look at yourself, because no one really wants to look at themselves
Yeah.
and criticize themselves.
Right.
Even when people try to give you constructive criticism, um, as a whole, until we get there, until we elevate to it, doesn't bother us. It bothers people when you tell them something that they don't like, even if it's true.
Right.
And that's what I'm still working on. It's like, I want to accept the constructive criticism, not saying that everything that someone has to say about me, that I'm going to take it to the heart, but I will at least analyze it and consider it. And if I don't feel that it's true about me or it fits me, then I'll just let it go. And then I'm
Right.
going to follow my own,
Right.
But again, about the music, I want to make sure people know that I'm not condemning any music that's out there, because I grew up a fan of hip hop, and a lot of the so-called, like I said, destructive material out there are by people that I've admired and still do. For it's just embedded in who
Right.
I am, in my mind, just looking up to them. And I'm not going to name any names and single out anybody, because there's a lot of artists out there that have come up, created, gangster rap, street rap, trap, and all that I've admired, and but what I'm saying is, when I really sit back and look, and from a vantage point, I look and see, wow, look at all these brothers out there, these young kings out there that have spoke these types of lyrics and then ended up dead. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Think about it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because I'm a firm believer that words have power. You
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean? If you speak on a certain thing, eventually you're going to manifest that, especially if you speaking on that thing with feeling and
Yeah.
passion. That's what you're going to draw to yourself. And if you really look at a lot of these of our brothers and sisters, I'll say more brothers, young kings that they spoke that type of destruction into their existence. And I'm not saying that there's no stories to tell, how it is, but there's a thin line between just getting something off your chest and just um, speaking things just to, get paid. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
At the expense of your listeners.
Right.
You get a big check, a big bag, from the record labels, because and I noticed that too, that the record labels, they gobble that up, and I'm not
Oh yeah.
pointing fingers, but it seems like that's what they want to push.
They know who they are.
Yeah, they want to push that, and so we have to at least be aware of that. And if you want to
Mm-hmm.
still go ahead and do that, go ahead, but at least be aware that you're being, even though you're being compensated, you're being used as a chess piece to keep this destructive
Yep.
energy and lyrical content out there for your people to, to gobble up, to absorb in their brains. And
Yes.
I think I asked you this last time, but even if you look at that the movie, they cloned Tyrone.
I was
They
just
had,
thinking of that.
yeah, they had some scenes in there where they
Yeah.
were playing music, and then watching. They were doing the studies
Yep.
On how it impacts the Black community, and they were
Yep.
doing it just like straight up right there, And it's like that's not just fantasy. That's not just a movie. That's basically
Yeah.
how it
Yeah.
goes.
This is how you condition the people. This is how you
That's how you
control the people.
condition the people and dumb them down and
Right.
keep them fighting amongst each other, no unity, and things like that. So that's why I'm thankful that I'm becoming more and more aware of these things. And that's why I'm speaking
Mhm.
from that vantage point. And that's why I'm making sure that I'm careful how I'm saying this, that I'm not trying to put anybody down if they are at that point in their life where they don't see anything wrong with it. I'm not saying anything, but I just want you to be aware. That's all. Just
Right.
be aware. I'm not telling you wrong because you listen to this. I'm not saying that because I used to listen to it a lot. And I'll be honest with you, if I'm be totally transparent, sometimes I still do. Even though not as much though.
I'm with you. I'm with you. It look,
Yeah,
so I'm a Southern hip hop head.
right.
UGK, 8 Ball, MJG, Scarface, Ti. You
Oh
know,
man, you can say
you know,
outcast. Gotta say
right?
outcast.
Yeah, Outkast as well. Yes, yes, got Outkast. Growing up in Florida. Luke. It was bass music,
Oh yeah,
booty music,
absolutely.
dancing and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, Two
So
Live Crew.
and then
Love Dr. Luke.
um I had my God, no, one of my mentors, when we was we were part of a drill team, and that's when I got put on to Public Enemy, got put on the NWA, Ice Cube, and all these different things. So yeah, I've been listening to this type of music since the late 80s, early 90s. So it, like you said, it's embedded in us, but also talking about the growth though. You're talking about the growth mindset of I used to take this music serious. I did too. Like you couldn't tell me that Snoop Dogg wasn't the coldest Mac ever
Oh yeah,
until I
yeah,
until I learned he was married, and blew my mind. It blew
right.
my mind. But that's all the part of that maturing, that growing, but also becoming more aware of how we're being programmed. In addition to they cloned Tyrone. Do you remember the movie Black Dynamite?
Like Dynamite. No. When did that come out?
Let's say it came out around 2010. Let's say it was a satire movie, one of those black exploitation satire movies made by Michael Jai White. And Black Dynamite was the hood superhero dude with the karate and stuff.
Oh, I think
But
I did see that. Yep.
and then they had the
I
malt
like Michael
liquor,
Jackson. They
right?
had who?
That I can't remember the name of the malt liquor, but it was a specific malt liquor, and
Yeah.
it would like shrink the man's penis. But it was just a metaphor of that the malt liquor messing you could basically add that to they clone Tyrone, because
Yeah.
it,
They
it's
did
just
it with
it's
the
just
chicken.
showing.
Yeah, the chicken
Exactly.
they cloned Tyrone. So yeah, they because I you know what, and I'm not trying to turn this into a racial debate or anything like that, but it's just when you speaking the truth, you just speaking the
Yeah,
truth.
it is.
I even noticed a few years ago, um, I don't know how long ago, but I used to notice McDonald's. I say, and I had a discussion with some people. I said, you notice that now McDonald's has nothing but like black people in the commercials. Why you think that is? They
Right.
trying to it program us to eat bad
Yep.
food, you
Yep.
know, and no pun towards McDonald's, because I grew up eating that. Used to be a reward for us when we were young. Hey, we going to
Right.
McDonald's. But I know if you have a steady diet of any fast food, so I'm just not pointing out McDonald's, it's not good for you. You can be obesity, overweight, high blood pressure, hypertension, strokes, heart attacks. So I'm like, why, you know, McDonald's, this when I was younger, it was like, to be honest with you, it was a white place, the white restaurant. But now all these hip hop music and then even
Oh,
I forgot, they just had a
workers.
meal not too long ago from a rapper. I forgot it. I forgot his name. Something meal, but it was a hip hop artist meal. But
Mhm.
and I'm not speaking against him, but it's like that's by design. It's like, that's
Yeah.
not health food that they pushing on you. They
Right.
pushing something, that's not healthy for you, you know.
Right. Right. Well, Neely Fuller talks about racism affecting all 9 areas of human activity. Every area of human activity, racism has infiltrated and affected those areas in a negative way for the advancement of a system of white supremacy. So that Neely Fuller Jr. talk about that in his book, The Compensatory Code.
Right.
So with that being said, we have to be able to do something for ourselves to strengthen ourselves, to empower ourselves. But that's where we come in, and being able to uh, gain more knowledge, wake up, so to say, and become
Become aware.
enlightened, so we
Yeah,
can get to
awareness.
that next level. So,
Yeah.
with you, what's like the greatest lesson you learned, or what was that spark that kind of helped you to be able to expand your consciousness, to have that paradigm shift, to start to think like the man that you are today?
You know what? Right off the top of my head, I could just say it wasn't just one thing, but a lot of times, and I can't speak for everyone, but I do know from my experience, from what I've witnessed and from myself, what causes a lot of either you to go down more or to actually wake up is pain. So, and you'll see where I'm going with this. I was going through, you know, a lot of things. I was with my previous marriage and in regards to my our kids,
Hmm.
and it just got so messy, man. And it just I didn't know what to do, and it just I was in a really bad place mentally. So, like I said, I got to a point where instead of looking out, oh, she's doing this. Yeah, she was doing some wrong things in my perspective, but probably tell it from her story. I'm in the wrong. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I mean, my perspective is even like that. I allow room for other people's like, hey, we're gonna both
Right.
have a story. But now I'm not speaking just from a victim. Now I can say, you know what? It's always two sides. So listen to that. Listen to me. Yeah, I'm not. I don't even talk like that no more. Like, oh, it's
Hmm.
all that person and that's it. No, I
Right.
realize. But just going through something like that just caused me to just like really wake up and start researching, doing research on psychology, on uh, why do certain things keep happening over and over? Why, I didn't even at that point I didn't even know the term of attracting things into my life at that point. I just thought things just happened. You know what I mean? Everything was just circumstance. And then just from doing research and listening to I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna name some names here. A lot of them are Europeans, but you learn from everybody. But I was
Hmm.
listening to Napoleon Hill,
Hmm.
and reading some things from him. Neville Goddard, Joseph Murphy, a guy that I met, Jason Stevenson from Australia. Then I got into the uh, uh, really listening to Reverend Ike and
Yeah.
even Les Brown, and
Hmm.
and now moving forward to 19 Keys and Billy Carson, and just learning the power that we have. That we it's just not just chance. We have actually influence. Even if you go from I can't even say the right terms, just sub particle atomic whatever level, we our feelings, um, our energy actually bends matter, bends molecules, causes things to change. And like I said, I might not be explaining that right, but just to put it in lightweight terms, the way we're thinking, it's not. And I know you probably heard this term before. It's not what happens to you; it's
How you
how you
respond to
react
it?
to it, how you
Right.
respond to it. So you can say this makes me mad. Think about just that term right there, makes me. Is it really making you? Or did you receive that information and that's how you decided to respond to that? Nothing can make you do anything, make
Hmm.
you feel any certain way. Even if somebody calls you a certain name, you have to get that tone of what they just called you, right? Has to go through your ears, go to your brain. You got to decipher it, and then you decide how you're going to react. And I always use this term now, like, okay, so you think everybody will feel the same way that you feel right now just because that's the way you feel? No. So that's the way you're interpreting it. But I can't really, going back to your question, I remember what you said. I can't just think of just one thing that caused me to shift and wake up. It was a lifetime of things. Just um, when you're younger, you can, to me, this in my perspective, you can do a lot more things that may not be good for you, and because your life is carefree and the responsibilities really haven't really settled in, the seriousness of life, you're not really tripping that much. So you're taking all kind of losses, but as you get older and you start taking them same losses,
Start
it
to
becomes a
add
little
up.
bit more serious. Like, man, I'm still on this level.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why am I still on this? Why is this still happening to me? Why are these relationships that I'm having? Why am I having these illegit, these kids? And it becomes more serious. It was cool back then, and I'll just give a few examples. Having a lot of girlfriends, it's cool back then, but when you get more serious and around dating more people that want to be more serious, and you leaving a destructive path, hurting feelings and breaking hearts, and that stuff comes back on you.
Right.
And so just I got to a point where I was like, man, why are these same scenarios? I went from, yeah, that person did this, but they did the same thing. But who they do the same thing to? In my perspective, me. So then I got to a point where I had to start looking at myself. And like I said, I'm not trying to confuse anyone out there, because people can do things, but it's still within your power of how you react to it and how you respond to it. I say respond because that's a better word than react. React is that you just do. Respond to something you think about, then you do it. So I do like that, what you said, respond.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's just like I said, even though I'm speaking from an older perspective of 52, if I can ingrain this in someone's head that's younger, that doesn't know, at least like you said, the first key is awareness. And because we don't know what we don't know. Like even as far as the McDonald's, some people probably didn't even look into that deep. But now I notice things like that now because I'm more awake. If I see I watch these pharmaceutical commercials, right, about pills for AIDS, right? And I always see like black men on there. And it's like, that's done intentionally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right up my alley right there. That's what I do for a living. But yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So before I wouldn't have noticed that until I really started looking within, and really paying attention to my actions that I do. And I do also believe in reaping and sowing, which is karma, which means that what you do, there's going to be, something similar that you're going to draw to you from those actions. I don't know how. It may not be immediately, but I do believe in that. I believe in that. And I've seen it, happen in different ways. If you're lucky enough to witness it, I mean, I know a lot of people might think, and even me, somebody do something bad to you and you see them, oh man, they just living good. You don't know what's going on. You really don't know what's happening, or what has happened, because things manifest in different ways. You might not be able to see it, but we get what we give,
Right.
So in some way, shape, or form. So, but yeah. So it just basically getting to a point where I felt like I hit rock bottom before I really start making that transformation into my feelings and thinking. And even I even share this, man. And I'm gonna be honest with you. And this is expressing a little vulnerability on your show, in part because, like I said, as a man, I admire you. I haven't known you for a long time, but just the energy. But growing up with a single mom, and I'm not saying this happens to everyone. I just got to speak for myself. Growing up with a single mom, and then watching how I handled situations throughout my life. I had a brother that I really admire, right? That we really talk. He grew up with both of his parents. Really affluent guy. I'm not gonna mention his name, but he, I was sharing some things with him, and he looked at me. He goes, "Man, you he said how did he put it? I don't know how he put it, but he said you reflect a lot of feminine energy. And let me tell you how it is. Not gay or nothing, but the way
Mm-hmm.
I was handling things,
Mm-hmm.
like like disputes within my relationships. It's like, no, man. And I know one size don't fit all, but he says the way that you perceiving that and you going about that, that's how a female would do it. And he said, he told me, he said, I'm not trying to demean you. He said, but you grew up with your mom and you took a lot of her traits in that regard. So I just want you to
Right.
be aware of that,
Right.
because and I'm not putting down anybody that's
No, but
gay
you're
or
telling the
whatever.
truth though. But
Yeah, I'm not
you're
putting
telling the
anything
truth.
gay, and I'm not saying that I am, because I'm not at all. And I'm not
Right.
even saying it in a defensive way, like, oh hell,
Right.
I'm not. No, I love my wife. I love women. I have 5 kids too. But yeah. So just growing up with a woman, I think I soaked up a lot of that emotional, and that's usually the more feminine
Right.
energy, being more
Right.
emotional instead of being the masculine energy in control, right? Um, Calm, cool, and collected, like his father taught him how to be. So I now I read that in other people when I see certain people, even people that have been looked at in the public eye as being the masculine. Then I go, nope,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Yeah. You
that's
see the
what.
traits.
Yeah. Now to clarify this, we all have estrogen and testosterone in us. All of that's why you see some men that 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 look or express themselves in more feminine ways, or a woman that could be kind of masculine, because we all have these chemicals in us.
Mm-hmm.
We all have that masculine and feminine energy in us. We always have that Y and whatever, the opposite chromosomes. So we
Mm-hmm.
got, so I'm not embarrassed to say that. Now, somebody that's probably not on the conscious level to really understand what I'm saying now, their first response can be, "Oh yeah, yeah, you gay. You just don't want to come." No, it ain't
But
got
no,
nothing.
no,
It ain't
no.
got nothing to do with that, man.
It's
Nothing
a
to do with
part of
that.
the journey. It's a part.
Yeah,
Look, I grew up with a single mother. I know exactly what you're talking about, right?
yeah, yeah.
So my dad wasn't too far away, but he wasn't in the house.
Right,
So you learn from your environment that you exist in. Now,
right,
luckily for me, I had a chance to have some balance playing football. So
right,
we playing
right,
football all day. We're around these old grumpy men. So we're getting it from both sides. But
right.
like you said, doing self-reflection when you're being honest with yourself, I had a lot of the traits that my mom had that I had to try to grow out of
That's what I'm saying.
because because that's the person who I saw handle these things. So I reflected some of the things that she had. But so
Right.
that's going to happen. Like that's the nature. When they talk about the
Yeah.
nature versus
And
nurture,
see,
that's the
just
nurture, not the
just
nature.
us touching on this, that's a grown man conversation. You know what
Right.
I mean? To be
But
able to not be afraid to put that out there, because somebody else is going to relate to this, what we saying, and
right.
without feeling, because me, I'm totally secure with who I am, and as a man, as a king, so I can say that. I don't have to
Right.
feel like, oh, I don't want to say that because, oh, they gonna think that I'm
Mm-mm,
I'm
mm-mm.
I'm
It's
I'm
about growth.
fruity. Nah, man, it's about growth,
Growth.
and I embrace that, and I thanked this brother a lot, man, for even pointing that out to me, because I never noticed that. Now, I did notice that I had a lot of things that I was trying to shed over the years, from my mom's, and I'm not going to name them because I'm not condemning. Everybody got adversities and things, she got things from her childhood, from her environment, but I
Hmm.
did notice that. But when he put it in that perspective, I sat back instead of denying it and looked and really paid attention. The way he broke it down, I can't remember exactly how, but it really made me look and say, you know what, you're right, man. He even did it as simply as having uh 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 debates with my girlfriends or whatever. Like,
Hmm.
man, coming at them catty like they coming at you. It's like, wait a minute,
Right.
somebody got to take the masculine
Right.
step and draw a line, and you not
Yep.
doing that, man. And
Yep.
you get that from your mom. I bet your mom like to argue, blah, 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 blah. He pointed out a lot of things, and then I had to look at myself, man, and it made me feel funny. It did, but like you said, in the growth process, I embraced it, I accepted
Right.
it, and I'm able to look and see and
Right.
able to deal with it and make sure that I balance that out, man. Working on my masculine energy thing. You know what I'm saying? Because
But
yeah, go ahead, man.
no, it's so black men growing up, and specifically talk about black men in America. Black men in America growing up behind enemy lines with,
Right,
think about everything that has happened to black people since we got here, since the
right,
1600s. Everything that have happened to black people, and everything that continues to happen to black people, everything that continues to happen to black men specifically.
right,
Like when the family breaks up, that affects the children, the young black boys and young black girls. Those young black boys and black girls grow up to be black men and black women.
absolutely.
um, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing talks about, she has a theory that because of the system of white supremacy, the black male cannot be the black man. And she's talking about arrested development, though. That's what she's talking about. But you were talking about overcoming arrested development,
Right,
fighting back against it, not allowing the arrested development to take hold and dumb us down, because
right,
we've seen that happen to a lot of us. And we, once again, we're going to take accountability for the actions that we've taken. Now we're going to identify the root cause, but also identify how we play a role in that and take the accountability into changing that. And that's where we come, once again, getting back. The only way to evolve, you got to take those first steps, recognizing your contribution to your stagnation or your contribution to your decline. And how can I fix this as a black person in America? If I'm going to be successful, not just for myself, but for my family and my community, what do I need to do to become a better black man? Because and then you have to do that. You have to look in the mirror. You have to do that on a regular basis if you
regular
really
basis.
want. If you're
Yeah,
really
you
serious
never gonna,
about, right,
yeah, you're never gonna get to a point where you've self-reflected enough. You know what I
right,
mean? It's constant, even when you feel like you've identified everything, right? You still got to keep going over those and reinforcing them and finding different ways to motivate you in regards to those things to keep yourself. It's just like, and it's just like taking a bath, you know what I'm saying? Or taking a shower. You took a shower yesterday, right? You was clean. You clean today. You know what I mean? You got to take another one and
right,
another one and
right.
another one. And you can get as clean as you want to get, but you got to keep doing it. So it's the same with self-reflection and work and inner work. You got to keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it to keep you on that track. You know what I mean? You got to understand the bad habits that we picked up it's not just because we did something once. It's because we've been exposed to that over and over and over and over and over and over and
Right,
over again. You know what I mean?
right.
Oh yeah,
But
man.
but
I
but
appreciate it. Go ahead.
no, but it goes because we study everything. Study everything. Our elders, our ancestors, our master teachers told us to study and learn everything from as many different perspectives as you can. So I also read Napoleon Hill. I've read actually what put me on Napoleon Hill is Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. He had um, uh, Napoleon Hill's book, just the name just exited my mind. But
Think
oh,
and Grow
Think and
Rich.
Grow Rich. Yeah,
Yeah,
Think and Grow Rich. But Dennis Kimbrough had Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice. I
right.
read that book before I knew about Napoleon Hill. Then I learned that he got that from Napoleon Hill. So I went back and read Napoleon Hill's
Yeah,
Think and Grow Rich. I've read Dale Carnegie. I've
yeah,
read
yeah.
I've listened to all of Tony Robbins, whoever,
Tony
Les
Robbins. Yeah,
Brown. Look, Les Brown's Chinese bamboo tree story. That's one of my favorites, right?
right.
But it's about finding that motivation and finding that information and being able to use that to empower yourself. And and empowerment is getting information and resources to help change the situation and taking action with the information and resources. So
and that's how I look at it too, man.
right.
I'm never going to, sorry about that, man.
No, go ahead.
You got me, man. You got me amped up.
Now go ahead.
Wherever the information calls out to me, that's where I'm going to get it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if somebody told me that there was something empowering that I can learn about to apply to my life in a Nazi book, I'm gonna pick it up. You know what I mean? I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna do it. If they say, hey, hey, pick up this, it'll do this, I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, you never know where you're gonna get some empowerment from. Now, I'm not gonna purposely go out there saying, this is the book I want to read, but if somebody has given me, and that's how I picked up Napoleon Hill. And I also another guy, Brendan Burchard, Motivation Manifesto. I had a brothers told me about that, man, and it was just information that was very new to me.
Right.
What's that other movie? The book that I read too, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
You know who even mentions him? Book. Who even mentions Eckhart Tolle? Is KRS-One.
Yep.
I heard him say a rap, and he mentioned Eckhart Tolle. Yeah, he said The Power of Now. Eckhart Tolle. He referenced it like a metaphor.
Right.
So yeah, you just never know where you get that information from.
But it's like, okay, so from a historical perspective, the Europeans have the information because they dominated us, and so they have the information. So now what we are seeing is it's our information and that they've passed back down to us, because we're talking about laws of nature.
I'm glad you said that. Let me speak on that, man.
Go ahead.
I try to tell people that because I had a young brother tell me this, man. Why are you reading these all these white book by these white authors? I said, you know what? The information that I'm reading from it speaks to me. I'm talking about on a deep level, which lets me know that this information came from us already. And then I did research, like, okay, I look at someone like Neville Goddard, and look up Neville Goddard, you get a chance, but he got his information from this guy from Africa named Abdullah. You know what I mean? So just when I was just posing those questions in my mind, just doubting myself, did they really come? And then I did a little deep diving in a lot of these guys, and I found out they had a lot of mentors from Africa.
Look,
so basically, I'm just getting the information back.
Exactly. These Africans, look, African spiritual systems, or even laws of nature. When I was young, my mom used to post sticky notes around the house. In the bathroom specifically, it was the 7 laws of nature. 7 laws of nature come from African people. The African spiritual systems, embedded within these spiritual systems, are a lot of these laws of nature. One particular, the law of attraction. Changing your mindset, changing your body. Like you talked earlier about getting down to the molecular level. Like when we can get esoteric with this, because this is our information. But that's what all of this information that they're getting at is. It can be classified as esoteric because it's information that has been hidden but is now coming back out. But we don't look at it as information that's come from us because it has a white face. But like you say, once you do your research and you realize that this is just like a lot of the information that's floating around the world. African people had it first. African people, it was either stolen from us or we taught other people and they came back and conquered us. And when you are conquered, you can't tell your story.
You can't tell your story and somebody else. And I'll tell like the young people, like I said, even when Hollywood makes movies about Egypt, you'll see, someone like Elizabeth Taylor being Cleopatra. I said it's the same thing with this information. They'll take it from you, pretend like they came up with it, hide all your stuff, so you feel like that they're coming up with all this enlightening information. And so that's part of a mindset of programming you to look up to them. You know what I mean? When this is your information. You look at like the design of Washington and that Washington Monument. That's an African monument. that
Yep.
thing. Look that up. Yeah, I'm sure you know that already. But yeah, there's a lot
Yep.
of things that, and I'm not trying to put anybody down, but it is what it is, and if anybody feels convicted because I'm saying that, I mean, look it up for yourself. Don't just take it from me. Look it up for yourself and
I
look
tell
up
you,
like you said, where these metaphysical laws and these laws of attractions come from the African spiritual, wasn't religion, African
right?
spiritual law. And
Science,
yeah, and these Europeans, they were able to go and travel the world and get this stuff. And then, like you said, because they were controlling everybody, they could basically silence and erase all your scrolls and then rewrite them
right?
a new way, just like Egypt. That was, people think that that's the original name. No, that was named from the Greeks. Egypt. It was originally Kemet. You know,
Yep.
So, but Egypt stands out more now. You tell somebody, "Hey, I'm going to Kemet." I mean, the average person will be like, "Where's that?" "Oh, I'm going
Right.
to Egypt." "Oh yeah, you're going to Egypt,
But
where the
but
pyramids are." Yeah,
even in that, telling people, Chancellor Williams' book, "Destruction of Black Civilization." Um, one of the chapters is titled "Egypt, Ethiopia's Eldest Daughter,"
right,
and so he's talking about the science that came to its apex in Egypt came from the interior of Africa, and it came
right.
up the Nile, and civilizations over the thousands of years were developed, and they manifested and they grew. Like, there are more pyramids in Nubia than they are in Egypt. But looking at going back to Tasseti, and even before that, like, we had African people had civilization, had writing, had science, all these things. They still can't figure out how the doggone knew about the Sirius star system
Oh yeah,
thousands and
yeah,
thousands of
yeah.
years before these
That's
whites
where
had these
even
telescopes.
like the sewage systems and things like that, they
Right,
developed that in Africa way a long time ago. They knew how to do
right,
that.
right.
Yeah. So that's amazing in the designs of castles that they tried to destroy even in Africa, that was built there. Castles that predated castles in Europe and
Right,
and that's crazy. It's like, wait a
right.
minute. And when you start looking at this, you start, it can't be all just a hoax. You know what I mean? You keep finding it on everywhere you look, and
Yeah,
then if you look at a lot of research too, is African statues that predate, you know, other people's cultures that were left all around the world, trying to be hidden, trying to be destroyed. But like, in China, African statues there, the
right.
big noses and stuff in Mexico and I can't name them all, but all kind of places,
But
even
it's
throughout Europe,
yeah.
yeah, Spain, a lot of African statues out there,
And
they
so,
hid
and
away.
even interesting, you talked about the European castles. Yeah, the Moors built those. A lot of
Right,
those castles, the Moors built those. Brought civilization into Europe and
right,
empowered them. But all that information
right,
all that information is beautiful information. It's our past. So how do we use that? Because this is always my question to myself. And
right,
I say it out loud in case anybody, it may resonate with anybody else, but how do we use all of this glorious history, all of this information? How do we use that to evolve ourselves as individuals and evolve as people, to better ourselves, to get to that next level? And but you doing what you're doing, you in
right.
California, you in your space, you don't have to try to take over the world. You don't have to try to save the
Nope.
world. You just need to keep doing what you're doing in your community and making
Yeah,
yourself better and your community better. Because if we have more people doing these in our spaces and then connecting and working together,
yeah.
we have a chain of people across the country and across the world who are literally empowering ourselves to be better.
Right, right. Waking people up. I think that's the start. Is letting people know how great they are, because there's been so much energy and effort and money um, put into suppressing us, into making us forget, making us feel like that we are um, not second, third, fourth, but last rate people. And it's like, no, when you start becoming aware of the real information about where you come from and what you've done, even now, I mean, that's not just ancient history. When you look at like the cell phone, as a black man did that, you know, in the computer chip, in the home computer, in the air conditioner HVAC
Yeah.
system, in the
Yeah.
refrigerated trucks. It's like you got
Yeah.
to look at stoplights, you know, the filament that went in the light bulb. You gotta
Gas
educate
mask.
yourself and find out
Everything.
the sprinkler system, the lawn sprinkler system that's used all over the world. I mean, come on, I could stop at stoplights. Where is there not a stoplight on this
Right.
planet? Come
Right.
on now. And the
Right.
guy created that. He was in Ohio, you know, and created that, you know. So I think by knowing that and then really putting it out there more and more and more, and even letting other people know that aren't in your community, that aren't part of your race, let them know that you know and educate them. I think that in itself, and I'm not saying walk around in a bragging way, but just if you know something that you are someone of intelligence, of superior intelligence, of great heritage, great lineage, then that right there, I'm not saying it's going to motivate all people, but it'll motivate me. It motivated me, and I see other people like you know, motivate you to step up, to know where you
Right.
come from.
Right.
Because growing up, I didn't know, I didn't get taught a lot of and it's like I said, it's no discredit to anybody in my family, but I didn't get taught a lot of things that were empowering to me. Now some people did. I just learned what was taught in the history books by the people that oppressed me. That was
Right.
it. And that's the only thing I had to go by, which wasn't very empowering to me, other than thank some white guy that he decided to let my people free. And I thought that's where my history started. No, my history didn't start being free from being captured here in, uh, you know, North America. That's not where my history started. That's
Right.
not where it started, and that's not where it ended. So
Right.
when you know this and you start picking up bits and pieces, like I'm not a person that just knows everything, can recite history, but I know enough in my mind right now to know that a lot of greatness. And I follow what's his name, Anthony Browder. I mean, listening to him, now you want to know the details. Follow that man. Go
Yes,
look at
sir.
his videos on
The
YouTube.
Browder Files.
Yeah, he actually travels around Africa and Europe and finds
He,
information.
yeah, he's doing excavation in Africa. He's doing excavations in Egypt right now, but he also has a tour in Washington D.C. where he calls Egypt on the Potomac, and he shows you
Right,
how Washington D.C. is laid out exactly like Egypt.
right. And
So
he finds the actual information, the text, the everything to dispute anything that you might want to say that wasn't right. No, it says it right here.
right.
It's
Um,
documented here.
are you
Yeah.
familiar with Che Kanta Diop?
No.
I'm gonna send you a link.
Okay.
Because I don't know how to spell his name. I'm really gonna mess it if I try to spell his name. But Che Kanta Diop, the origins of African civilizations. I might have messed the title up, but the origins of African civilizations.
Right.
He's the people like Dr. Browder. They stand on Che Kanta Diop's shoulders because he's one of the first ones to have the actual information to show that African people created civilization. We started civilization.
Right.
We had various civilizations around the world. And when you talked about Dr. Browder, you made me think about Che Kanta Diop because
Right.
he's one of the ones that we should be studying vigorously. But you also made me think about if I'm in power, if I've conquered a group of people and I'm in power and I want to stay in power, there's no way in hell that I'm going to teach you about yourself. There's no way in hell that I'm going to do what I need to do to empower you, right? So for those who are oppressed,
Right.
now that we're at a time where we have access to more information than any other time in history that we know of,
Right.
via these internet things. So it's imperative for us to not only learn the information, because you don't need to be a speaker. You don't need to be a historian. You don't need to do none of that. We have enough. I mean, I do that. We got a whole bunch of other people. You don't need to do that. You do what you were compelled to do. You do what you do. You do what your skill set is. You do what works best for you. That, because especially if it's already working for you in your community, you keep doing it. If you a painter, paint. If you
Right.
if you play soccer, go use your soccer skills to empower your people, because we have historians, we have speakers, we have all these other people, but we need more people being themselves and using the God-given talents and abilities and taking action with those talents and abilities to make things better. Because I just feel like we're in such a dire state right now. We're in such bad shape as a
Right.
whole, that the
Right.
talking is cool, but we need more action. So
Right. Right. And I just want to leave this with people too. If you doubt um, anything that Joseph and I have been touching upon, ask yourself this: if you weren't such a great people as African descendants, Black, if you weren't such a great and powerful people, then why is there so much energy, so much, like I said earlier, money, uh, systems put in place to keep you down, to help to deter you from reaching your greatness and to knowing who you are? Why? Just like even
right,
when we go back to like the music, why is that? Why is there, why is there a highlight put on music that will deter us, that will cultivate violence, will cultivate destruction, self-destruction, versus a positive music? Why isn't it as much money poured into that, in commercializing that? Why not? Why did the real positive music go away so fast? And
hey,
hasn't really come back on a mass level. Now when you look at conscious rappers or positive rapper, you got to really dig deep, and find some underground. But and then once in a while you will find someone like Kendrick Lamar that'll that knows how to ride that line, and knows how to put. But I'm just saying, on a mass
mhm,
scale, why is it so much of that? How come the history isn't put in the history books in schools and taught, the real? How come our movies are only about, keeping us emotional in regards to slavery, when they have movies about us? I mean, come on, it's not a coincidence that this stuff is happening. So
right,
just really
yeah,
understand. And I even told and I'm not trying to incite any division or make anybody frustrated, but growing up, Africa had like a bad stigma, right? Oh, it's just people. It's all you knew about
mhm,
Africa growing up was just some skinny people with big bellies over there.
right.
Well, if it's such a bad place, right? How come there's so many British and French over there? And how come everybody wants a piece of that land and the diamonds and the oil over there? If
Look
it's
at
such
what's
a
going
bad
on right
place.
now. But
Yeah.
but but no, that's a great point. I'm glad you said that. That's a great point, because
Right.
and the setup to it as well. They these people are doing what they're doing to us for a reason.
For a
It's to
reason.
stay in power, and one is to stay in power too, because we haven't really fought back like we're supposed to lately,
Right.
right? But look at what's going on in Niger right now. Look at what's going on in just the west coast of Africa with NATO, with the ECOWAS, with just
Right.
France is angry at Niger because they had the coup and took out the president. Look at what's going on in Burkina Faso. The new president, Ibrahim, I forgot his last name, but they're looking at him as the second coming of Thomas Sankara. But just like you said, if Africa is such a horrible place, why white folk can't stay out of there?
The truth. And owning stuff from there too, and and I'm not putting blame, but I'm gonna highlight other stuff. It's crooked leadership too that
Oh
has
yes,
taken the bag and sold the people out, and
yeah.
things like that. So, we just got to get it together a lot more than that, man. which
Yep.
is, allowing these people to come own and control the resources of Africa. And it's like, okay, so how much resources you coming from Africa do you control over in European countries? Let me ask you that. But you allowing them to come over and control your stuff because you living in a nice mansion and castle, but your people overall are suffering because you selling off, lending off all the resources to be controlled by
Right.
other people,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
some kind of way it has to change. But like you said, the talking only can go so far. But what I do know on a positive note is that more people are waking up now. And,
Yep.
and
Yep.
the more people that are on the same page, then that's when that movement will start happening. Because when you
Right.
get people that just are scattered and skeptical over what's happening, now people are getting a definite, insight on what's going on,
Yeah. Yeah. More people because it bring it back to meritorious, man. You mentioned taking compensation for selling out your people, right?
Right.
That's the only way all of these things can continue to happen to us is we have those of us who are of our race and look like us who's not on the same page as us. Now we're not all on the same team. All skin folk ain't kin folk, right?
Yeah.
But
Dr.
but
Claude Anderson mentioned that too in his
right,
book.
right.
He said
But
there should be some consequences for those. They need to be punished.
exactly.
We got to punish them
Exactly. Exactly.
within our community for selling us out.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But I do believe that we need to pay attention more to the information that has been given to us over the years and learn from the information so we don't continue to repeat the same lessons or repeat the same mistakes rather and learn from the lessons of the past moving forward because we want to make sure that 50 years from now there isn't another Luke and another Joseph having this same conversation.
There you go. And I like what you said, getting the information right. And we have more outlets to get it now, but learn from it. And then the other part of that is apply it. What we gonna do
Yep.
to apply? What are we doing to help change our situations? Because we can talk all day, but what are we actually doing? So
Exactly.
yes,
Exactly.
sir.
Yes, sir. Man, look here. We can sit here and talk about this stuff all day.
Okay. No, I appreciate you having me here, man. I know
Oh,
we
no
didn't win a
problem.
little bit. We didn't win
It's
over
all
time.
good, man.
It was
I
such a
threw I threw that out a long time ago.
passionate conversation.
When we first started talking, I saw the engine. I was like, man, we're gonna let this thing go to where it go. So But before we do close it
Yes,
out,
sir.
can you give the people your website, your YouTube channel, any other platforms that you have so people can go support you and make sure you subscribe to his YouTube channel as well.
Right. Yeah. Since you said YouTube, yeah, just look up YouTube. You can look up Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved, or go to youtube.com at /@333 Empower. You can also just look up Loot Bryon Smith. That's Bryon Smith. You can Google my name, Loot Bryon Smith, and see all what I have, the music and what I'm involved in. Music Beats Cancer, just a lot of charitable events. I've been involved with children's hospitals, the Shriners Hospitals. I forgot what the other one is. St. Jude's for the kids and visiting them and talking to them. And I got something coming up where I'm going to go to a prison here in California and speak and perform for them some of my empowering hip hop music. You can go on, like I said, any platform, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, iTunes, and look up Loot Bryon Smith and check out some of my empowering music. My latest project I came out with last year is called Self-Empowerment Music for the Streets. So it's basically, got a street element to it, but it's a positive spin on it, a message to it, to empower and to get us to be aware and awake as to what we're doing, to each other and to our own lives. So look into that, look up that album, Self-Empowerment Music for the Streets. Also, like my website, 333empower.com. I think I got it right here. Let me see. If anybody looking, yeah, 333empower.com right there.
All right.
Enlightened, empowered, evolved. Yeah.
That's what's
So
up.
yeah, that's it. Oh, you could also, I have my own music website too. LootBryonsmith.com. So LootBryonsmith.com. Check out some of my, I have a few of my songs on there. Just check them out.
Now, I
Stream them,
appreciate
whatever.
you. I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate the initial connection. I appreciate you allowing me on your platform. I appreciate you pulling up over here, because I do my best to use my platform to, to do just what yours is, enlighten, empower, evolve, but to make sure our people have access to our information and resources. People who are out in the community doing things to make the community better, and so. I appreciate your contribution to your community and just overall to the Black community. Keep doing what you're doing. You already know if there's anything you need from me, you let me know. But this is how we do it over here on the Shoulders of Giants. For those who, if this is your first time seeing this, this is how we do it. For those my OG listeners, y'all already know what we do. I love y'all. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, share this video, like, comment, all those different things, and be on the lookout. This is a special Thursday video, so I want to give it to y'all. So I love you all. Make sure y'all have a good day and check out the next video. Luke Bryan Smith is going down. See y'all next time.